Today we're talking about how I set up my web hosting and why I do it the way I do it. Hey, there's Tom with Tom's Tech Show, and today I'm talking about setting up websites and email and all these different things. So I do have websites that I have out there. There's tomstechshow.com. There's a few others, and a few other people that I consult for and set up their systems and stuff. And I wanted to bring up some of the things that kind of happen, kind of grow organically out of doing this so many times. So, one thing that you could do is have one hosting provider that does everything. You set your DNS up there, get your domain names there, get your web hosting there, and have your email service be through this one provider. So, where it seems like, oh, good, this is all in one place. This is all something that, I can go to one place to manage it. It's just, it's going to be great. Well, what happens next is maybe you find out that there's a feature of one of these things that you want. Like I had a client who had a web host that people were screaming at them in their news groups and everything, like, why aren't you allowing, setting up Let's Encrypt so we can all get SSL for free on our, websites? And they said, screw you, we want to make money off of you people. You're already paying us for hosting, you're already paying us for, email and bandwidth and everything else. No, forget it. We still want to make money off of your SSL certificates. So maybe that happens, and now you have to move your web hosting, and say you're going over here to you found a better one, AAA hosting. Okay, so now your web hosting and your email and your DNS registrar are two separate places, but they kind of don't, they're not, which one do I go to do what? And do you really want to keep paying for these two, services? I don't really mind having it keep, if you have to keep email with your web service. That isn't too bad. I do that a lot, but email is very hard to move. So with small sites, I just tend to have them get, a a Gmail account and then forward everything to a Gmail account. And then when they send mail, they can send mail as alias as their regular email. Because, and one thing you don't want to ever do is have your email be from Comcast or whatever, your local ISP, because you're going to change ISPs probably, many times, over the years. And then you're dragging along, okay, I got to tell everybody now that I've got this new email address, and stuff. So that's just never do that, of course. But so now we've got, okay, maybe our DNS is over here and we're registering domains here, but that's not their business, is domain registration. Then you find out, oh, we need, your website's getting popular. You want domain name privacy so people can't look up your domain name, maybe get your home address or different things like that. You want them to be able to get a, random, a corporate type email or email and domain name for when they go and look up your domain registration. But they don't offer that, or they want you to pay for it, or something like that. Well, there's another service again that provides that kind of thing. But so what I typically do, let's jump up here to this slide here. What I typically do is I go to a domain registrar that I found to be pretty good, not a sponsor or anything, Hover. Um, they provide domain privacy by default. Um, domains are fairly the same price everywhere, right? So wherever you get that is wherever you want to get it. I typically want to stay away from GoDaddy. It's a really junky website and really gets a little crazy over there with trying to upsell you and different things like that. Hover doesn't really upsell you. They'll show you that they have some other services, like if you want email or something else through Hover, you could do that. Um, then I also you can use for the domain system where you're setting up your domain names. You can either use Hover, or sometimes it's better to use your hosting provider, because that allows you to do a little bit more with inside the domain, right? You're setting up hosts and different things, and you're already in your web hosting provider. I do some of it through Hover, some of it through my hosting provider. And then I go and put the website on some place that's completely independent of everything else. So if I have to move the domain, and that's where having DNS at Hover becomes important. Like if I did have another hosting provider and they started to be really slow and laggy and they were overcommitting their servers and things like that. So then I said, well, I need to find somebody else. So somebody recommended DreamHost. I also will recommend them, not a sponsor, but they've been really good and really responsive, had good support, have had good performance. They don't tend to overload their servers. But say I was going from, you know, Acme hosting service to DreamHost hosting service. Well, now you're moving a lot of DNS records, you're moving a lot of different things. And if I have my DNS separate, I can just go in here, set up the new website at the new hosting provider, and then go into this DNS and just flip a switch and move it. Okay, now we're going here, flip the switch, now we're going to the new provider. That's been probably the most ideal way to set that up. Also, I try and do email, as like I said, I try and do email as separately as possible because everybody needs their email. If you hook it with your hosting provider directly, then you can, if you're moving that around, potentially you can end up having people not get their email. That's why I always typically like sending it to something that's just out there like Gmail, or maybe if you want Yahoo or Hotmail or one of those, or if there's some other more private emails out there that's not really connected to anything. That way, if I want to switch my hosting provider, then I'm just switching that and don't, because what happens is, so I switch my hosting provider, but then all the people have their email in this other system, and now it gets to be a drag. Okay, now we got to try and pull all this email, get people to redo their settings and everything else. So if you have a lot of users, it tends to really be just a giant pain in order to do that. So my latest people that I've been migrating are migrating to G Suite because G Suite has been able to go in and connect and migrate everybody's mail over to G Suite. So that's one thing. Wherever you move your mail to, make sure they have some type of IMAP import or something to be able to get mail off of the old server. Because some people have years of mail that they have saved. I think I have mail. I have my mail saved back to like the 90s. So I'm one of those people. I might have to look that up. No, I'm not going to ever look that up. But anyway, there have been a few times when I've had to look up mail from like 10 or 15 years ago, and that has come in handy. But in general, no. But some people are very anal. They want all their email and everything forever, keeping conversations forever. Which I guess if you're a counselor, or lawyer, or something like that, then that would be, that would be a good thing to be able to have. But then why aren't you backing? You need to back it up somewhere else as well. So, but this is what I do. So I split everything up into different things so that it's very mobile and it's not connected. Because once two services get connected, like your web hosting and your email, then it becomes really hard to break them. If you have to move email or you have to move, your web hosting, then you're going to break a lot of things, and you don't want to break everything at one time, and you don't want to be paying for your web hosting service that includes email and paying for your old email service. So you're like double paying, and you don't really want to. You don't really want to do that. So go out and have everybody's mail forwarded out to something that's more general, and then your own domain name. You can still reply and send mail as, so that gets your name at, that'd be Tom at Tom Sec Show. So when you email something, it says that. But for the service, just have something be out there in the general public. Okay. So then I also recommend, of course, Hover for domain registrations. Like I said, they include domain privacy, and that's really kind of important, especially as sites get bigger and you don't want people finding you or where you live or things like that. So that's very important they include that. They do some other services too, but like you can get email, I think, but they don't do much else. So that's it. So, all right. Well, that's kind of how I set up all the people that I've done so far. I've kind of moved them to this pattern. It's been successful and pretty much across the board been really beneficial cost wise and everything else to keep everything running. All right. Well, if you have any questions about setting up your domain, getting everything split, getting everything put into place, then just comment below. We can work through it and I can see if we can get things set up so that's a little bit better and, a little more flexible because that's what we want, flexibility to be able to, that's the internet. You don't want to be locked into one thing and then not be able to move. All right. Well, thanks for watching this one. Take care.